Jonathan Albin. It should be great game at your table. That's what I'm changing it to. Great game at the table. At your table. Great game at your table. This is Jonathan Albin, and this is Game Master's Toolbox, and I needed to have this video with you. First thing, a little bit of business, and if you've had communication with me previously, I'm still around, I'm still available, but I had a bit of a technical difficulty. My Discord channel was hacked, and I've lost access to Discord. And so if you are watching this and you are in my Discord group or whatever, feel free to post in the chat here. I can communicate with you and everything, but I'm in the process of trying to win back my account. Somebody actually tried to hack me at about 3 o'clock this morning, and I was actually online at the time that they tried to make the hack, and so I was able to rescue the account in as much as I was able to change the password again fast enough to prevent them from being able to use it, but I can't seem to go back in and turn everything back on. So I'm waiting for word from Discord, but that's just a thing that'll be in this. It'll be deleted from the YouTube version when we put this up there. But today's conversation about what's behind your GM screen is very important to me. I think that one of the biggest challenges is that most of us game masters have developed a technique or a method for doing our jobs independent of each other, and so therefore we don't necessarily share ideas, and some of the best ones go fallow or are unfollowed because there's no one that can share that information. And so I'm sharing, quite frankly, some things that would be considered a secret, if you will, because I've been doing it for the past 48 years plus, and some of them are rather unique, and some of them are clever, and some of them are just, well, convenient, and people just don't know about them. So we're going to talk today about what actually is physically behind my screen when I'm playing. Now, I am using one of the new Dragon Shield demo Game Master screen. It's excellent. If you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. It's a bit pricey, and I'm not advocating for it from the standpoint of any money that it's transacting. I'm not getting paid for this, and I don't have a link, and I'm not going to send you to go buy one. But if you have a desire to play behind a Game Master screen, the Dragon Shields one is really, really handy because it has the ability for you to post cards across the top that allow you to do initiative or logistics exercises or whatever you're wanting to do with it. But they're available at most major game stores. So Dragon Shields Game Master screens, and there's 3 or 4 different versions at different price points. So it's a very, very convenient tool. And if I get to the point of doing review shows, and if I hear from you as viewers that you would like to do review shows, then I will consider doing that. But at this point, it's an unsolicited affirmation. How would you say it? It's no one's providing me any money, and I'm not asking for any money to give my advocated opinion. And I advocate for this screen. It's really, really good. So therefore, the question is what's behind it, because when you're a game master and you've got your supplies and whatever behind the screen, it's kind of fun to reveal what that is. And so we're going to start right here off the top, that I have an absolutely quality, detailed, specific map of the area that we're playing in. And for most of the time, it's totally not on paper. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you the one that we're going to be using for Nikos RPG, the 9th iteration, and I'm kind of proud of it. So this is the map, and I'll go ahead and get the text line out of the way just so you can appreciate its glory. This is the 9th iteration map, and it is the entirety of the known realm of Nikos. And I'm just going to let it sit here for a while if you want to freeze the screen and take some time and look it over. I can do that for you. As a matter of fact, let me do this real quick here. Some of the magic of the internets, the interwebs here, is I will go ahead and expand it out. And then where is it? There we go. I'll eventually figure out where it's at. There you go. Now you can take some time and freeze the frame and take a decent look at the map. The cities are in yellow. Those are the capitals and important cities of the world. The ones that are capitals do have the little red star beside them, indicating their rank in the administration of governments of the city, of the plan of the worlds. But you'll notice that there's not necessarily every capital, as there's 197 countries, I believe, on that coast. Then the villages and towns are the smaller ones, smaller words, and they're harder to see. Matter of fact, I don't even see them on this map. That's very bizarre because I actually have the map up at this time and I'm looking at it. So, oh no, I'm not. I'm not looking at this map. Okay. Anyway, the point is that's a lot of detail to this map. There's green spaces. The green towers are important to the story, as are the gray artifact-looking towers. So this is what I use for a map, but that's on the macro scale, and it doesn't necessarily apply week over week to what we're doing. But I do have this quality map. But when I'm speaking of the map, as I was a minute ago, and go ahead and shut that off. So the next thing we have to look at beyond having our uh, quality map is that we want to be able to add something to that. And so we want to have at least a half dozen sets of dice. And this is important because not everyone that comes to the table brings everything they need. And inevitably, one person, two people, or even your entire table will at a different time or other fail to bring dice. And so I try to have as many dice sets available as I have players at the table, just in case. Because even if I don't need to, because they did bring their dice, I can't tell you how many times a game group will panic because a person wants to get different dice because he's rolling so badly on his own dice. He thinks he needs to have another set of dice to choose from. So I have generally have quite a few other optional sets of dice that are available. The next we're going to talk about is a sand glass or other timing mechanism. And when I speak of a sand glass, I'm referring to what you would think of as an hourglass or a timer. Some of them are small, like 3-minute egg timers or whatever. This one's considerable. I use this one, for example, in things like videos so that I can track how much time I have left to get my word out before I run out of time. So this is a half an hour counter. And so I just set it on its base over here and set it and forget it, so to speak, and just look over it from time to time and make sure they still have time left. And as I get close to the end, then I can hurry myself if I need to. But it's more often than not used to help prompt players to act, because when you're a player in a role play game and you can't think of things, it's really funny how much more creative you can become when you know you're under the gun as far as something that's going on. The next, of course, would be at least half a dozen persona packs. And since the Nikos RPG persona has a lot more written details about them that are put down on paper, I afford the players all 3 sheets in my packets, and so therefore I'm prepared for up to a half dozen extra players. And it's really important that I do, because today, for example, my group at Board Game Paradise was 10 players, and that's 4 players more than I usually have. And so that 4 extra players, it does ramp up the number of things going on in a game, but it makes for a much more dynamic and exciting group, as they all have to learn to explore each other's personalities and peccadillos and what their difficulties will be working together, while also learning how to resolve things within the game and with the conflicts that are going on. Let's see here. The next is you will need to have a library of literary resources. And I don't mean that you're going to sit and Google conversations in books, or you're going to rob and duplicate other properties for their storylines on the fly out of written material just by pulling it up and looking at it. What I'm referring it to is having a rather extensive reading bibliography. What books have you read? What adventure themes have you explored? Have you considered the depth of the role play and what you're trying to accomplish, and to see whether or not there's something that you might be able to add in the game session that will help you accomplish this by having a larger library of literary resources, whether you use them or whether you're just talking about those that you have. In either way, it becomes a blessing to you as the game master to keep a hold of a rather extensive list of library functions. Next thing is I afford all my players a table tent, and some people think this is cheesy. They think it's um, under beneath the players to do. But I have found that a table tent with their character handwritten name of their persona, and perhaps some information about them, their species or whatever, it becomes a real great trigger for a role play, because the players, when they look across the room, no longer just see another player; they see Fritz the foreman or whatever. They get who that person is in the story, and therefore interact appropriately. And what I mean by appropriately means they interact as if they're the characters, and that's really important to continuing your game system operation week over week. You can also use them as a player ID card. For example, I will also run science fiction games, and so therefore the player's information card becomes their ID card. And so in game, I'll ask them for their ID cards, and they hand me their name tags, and that acts as their ID in game. But it also provides me with a feedback from them concerning the information that they keep current on their character persona, because that's important that what they keep on their for their own person is going to influence the game as well. So it just gives a nice way to remind them to update what they're carrying or what they're looking for. Next is the essentials. And this is if you've got a group of 4 players or 40. When you sit down at the table, you need to make sure that you've got pencils, erasers, and highlighters for everybody at the table, because you don't know when a player is going to suddenly draw an interest to the story or become intrigued with the way things work. And by having a mechanism that you can provide them with the tools, pencils, erasers, highlighters, then you amplify their experience of the game and make it easier for them to engage and want to be part of your story. Next thing is a turn tracking method. Now, I mentioned earlier that the GM screen that I'm using has a slider space for the ID card. So that gives us a great overall turn order to make sure that everybody gets a chance to play by making sure you run through the list. But what I'm speaking about when I'm talking about turn tracking methodology is I have a device known as a boogie board. And if you have not seen one of these, it's basically like an Etch-a-Sketch. It has a blank screen, and when you first turn it on, it just lights up slightly. And then as you draw on it, it'll darken the screen. And when you finish drawing on that page, you can either click it to save it for a later project, or you can delete it. But it gives a way to gather information for the players for their own knowledge as a game master without compromising your role as a game master as well, because the players with whom you can integrate as passenger need to also be divorced from your game system to prevent yourself from defending inadvertently all the other players and their actions. And that's why I brought them up here. The Boogie Board or Scratchpad is a great way to do the tracking method if you don't have something else. Now, I do also list here, and I didn't even notice it, the idea of a magnetic board. You can slide the markers around and determine who gets to go first, second, third, on that kind of a turn tracking method, then that makes it visually easier and easier to remember. And conversely, you can use the boogie board or a scratch pad just to take physical notes. And with those notes, then you're able to recreate the game in the way you need to in order to feel what's going on in the physical world rather than just what's going on in the emotional world of the games tables. So, with all of these items that we have on our games table, our area behind the screen gets pretty filled up pretty quickly. And a happy table is one where the game master has everything he needs at his fingertips. And this list is rather extensive for what you would need to have in order to carry on a game at a table. So just realize that your own list might be a little bit different, but if you analyze and track why you have what you have and why you use it when you use it, you're definitely establishing yourself as a master of the world that you're running at the time. So I'm going to stay online after the video and answer any questions if there's somebody who comes online. But if you have not yet subscribed, would you please do so? We're doing a drive right now to get to 100 subscribers. And if we make that goal, I'm going to print and provide to all subscribers a mouse pad of that new map. And so as a reminder, I'll show you again what the map looks like. And you'll get the full version of the map that includes all the cities and towns and places of interest in the world of Nikos. And this map will be maintained over the sessions of this season. So that if you want a map that's got a legacy of where it is in a certain space and time, make sure you get subscribed early, because I'll go with the order of subscription to determine which version of the map I send. So I will track when you subscribed and where you are in the queue, and then send you the appropriate map for when you started, so that any future modules or episodes you watch or read about will make sense to you, because you'll be able to follow the news of Nikos. So there you have that, and I will go ahead and close that back out. Alrighty, so there's that, and let's see. There he is. No. Hey, no. Strig. It was nothing you did. It was nothing you did. I got hacked. I mentioned that right at the beginning of the video, and you didn't get a chance to see it. I got hacked, and I lost everything. So both of my servers are gone as far as I know. I've reached out to Discord. I started at 3 o'clock this morning. So it got fried. They actually froze. They hacked it at about 3:15. I only noticed it when all of a sudden all of my friends on the friends list vanished, including you. And it was like, oh my Lord, what is going on? So I hope you're hearing this and you can't rejoin. And no, I did not ban you. They have hacked it and there is no account right now. I'm trying to win it back. I'm trying to figure it out. So you can still reach out to me through Facebook, or I have a Messenger, AOL Messenger, and those are under Nikos RPG. So you can find me that way, Nikos RPG, and that's on Facebook and Nikos RPG as well. So Strig, I was mortified when I saw it this morning, because the first thing I thought of was yourself and Helen Cute and Huso and all the players, all you guys that have become followers and supporters way back when. So I apologize for this. I had no clue on how it happened, but I just know that I lost everything, and so I'm going to have to rebuild it all. So it was not at all. You and I, we're all good. And I'm really glad that you came on so that I could celebrate with you the fact that I was able to get back in touch with you. I'm so glad you were here tonight. It was nothing at all that anybody could have stopped. And so I'm great, except for the fact that I was terrified for the entire day. And like I said, once I heard back from them that the person was actually trying to change out my email address, but I did have 2FA already on it, so I was locked in as the holder of the account, so I can sign in and I can create a new password. But because the 2FA has been janked with, I can't get the code back out. So I'm waiting for them to fix it. So uh, whether it's my fault, the only part of it's not my fault is that I was talking to a person that I thought was a friend of mine, somebody who I've been working with, and they yeah. No, I was actually not on the screen because I was doing all that fancy. This time, if you notice, I was changing all the lines and trying to make the show more dynamic, and I wasn't actually looking at the chat. So that's the only reason why I didn't immediately respond to you. So I can see why you'd be frustrated or surprised by that. So I'm glad you stuck long enough. So yeah, like I said, I'm other places, and I will be back on Discord as soon as I can get cleared to be. But I am battling to try to hopefully regain my servers because I was actually spending a little bit of money on that with the Nitro accounts, and so I'm pumping money into Discord, so they should do what they can to fix it as quickly as they can. So we will see. Like I said, I've been in contact with them, but most information I'm getting from them is bot quality responses, so there's no person behind it yet. But they've been really trying to be helpful. So, phew. So glad that you signed in tonight. I'm sorry for the problem, but yeah, now that I've finished the video for the day, I want to say thank you for watching Game Master's Toolbox. We're going to do these about as often as we do soapboxes going forward because I want to provide as much usefulness. As a matter of fact, if you stay on today, Strig and I are going to talk more about the stuff we've been working with the last week or so with some of the embellishments he found through some of my secret ways. So, with that, Strig, you got anything you want to talk about in particular? Want anything for me to pontificate about? I have to tell you that tonight's game went great. We anticipated having 5 players, and we ended up having 10. 4 of them were brand new. Yeah, just Discord. They didn't get to anything else. They didn't get to my lore. They didn't get to the website. They didn't get to the money. They didn't get to any of that stuff. They just hacked the Discord. And because I went in and was resourceful enough to change the password immediately, because I could, because of 2FA, I was able to save it from them being able to go any further than that. And maybe Discord doesn't care, but at least they will try to. It's actually a situation where the 2FA is jinked. So, nope, they didn't get to. Like I said, they didn't get to the money. They didn't get to my ATM. They didn't get to my credit cards, debit cards. I don't do a lot of online purchasing anyway, so there's not a lot they could have gotten to. But they didn't get to anything like that. The worst part of it is they got to my friends list, and if you had an email address with me listed on there, they might be trying to reach out to you. As a matter of fact, the fact that you can't get back in means that. Oh, sure. I will stay on and find something else to pontificate on while you're playing Dota. I don't even know what Dota stands for. I know it's an acronym, but I don't know what. Duel of the Ages, maybe? I don't know. Destiny of the. Maybe that's what it is. Destiny of the Avatar or something like that. I don't know. I know I think it's a first-person shooter. It probably shows how much ignorance I have that I probably don't even know what Dota is. I do know some of the acronyms, but not that one. I know my son plays COD, Call of Duty, with Black Ops or whatever the newest one is, what he plays. But yes, it was fun today because I now have a group that has players that are aged 12 to 78. So that's a pretty good age spread, and that's across 10 bodies. So there's a lot of them that are young guys, but there's also a couple of young ladies, and then as you already have met Streg, you've met Jean. So, I don't. What time do you think your dodo will be up? Defense of the Ancients. Alrighty. Didn't know what that was. Now I do. I will probably forget it again in 12 seconds because squirrel. But, but anyway, so let me know how long that's going to be because what I'll do is I'll sign out and come back because I've got through with the episode that I wanted to and I need to get it cut and edited and kicked up to Discord. Ah, there's a slip for you, not Discord, to YouTube because I've got a couple of new things that I'm doing. Also, I'm working on a long form video. Oh, and I've got a brand new map to also show off. I've been working on my Distant Suns campaign, which is the second of the game formats for Nikos RPG. So it's a second genre, and that game kicks off this Friday. So already, oh, you're just going to be 15 minutes. That's fine. I'll probably just ramble. I won't take off until after that. Then that's cool, super cool. But yeah, let me do. I'll go ahead and see if I can show you the new map. No, no, no. Layer. Let's see. See if it will let me do it. Un momento, por favor. There we go. So there's the space map. And I did it in this kind of antique style because the universe we're going to be playing in is a little bit Firefly, a little bit Wing Commander. So it's the idea is that it's drawn on parchment because that's what they have to work with for their charts. And while the computers are fast enough to do things like program jumps and such like, a lot of the travel is done in sublight space at really glacially slow speeds as they go from star to star, and therefore the sublight distances here are represented by the hexes, the hex map, and the uh, storms, the what look like islands or whatever you see on the map are actually stellar dust concentrations and nebulas and galaxies and that kind of thing. So, and the three primary ones happen to have parallel names to the great storms of Nikos in the eighth iteration. So I'm recycling the concepts of Maelstrom and stuff. Well, thank you. Yeah, as a matter of fact, the compass rose in theory is supposed to be turned about 45 degree. I haven't figured out how to do that yet, but eventually I'll get it so that the compass rose will actually point to the northeast corner because that's inward in the solar system. So you in the stellar system. The idea is that this is all part of a galactic strand, and so the systems are spread all the way from inward all the way out to spinward. So out on the spinward end, the systems are farther apart and more desolate, and many more unsavories, or those people that simply wanted to focus on self-rulership occupy the area. And today, while we're discussing it, I'll kind of go through the markings and the connotations of the markings on the map. So the first thing to note is that there are several of the uh, stellar systems that are marked with a star with a ring around it. And those are specifically uh, Confederation homeworlds. And the Confederation is my term for the concept of the you could call them the alliance. You could call them the uh, empire. They're basically the civilized worlds who have decided to lock together and have left the outer worlds, the ones that live spinward, to their own devices for the most part, and therefore a lot of the game is like carrying cargo and trading between the various systems. So while the Alliance worlds, and one of them hasn't been labeled yet. I've got to go up and fix that. The label's actually been started, and since I have it open, see if I can get that done while we're doing this. Up here by post 149, there's a world that's not labeled, and I've got an extra label up here. So let me go up and change that. So I click on the label. Then I can move. Oops. Then I can move the label over here. And what's really nice is that the system has a built-in randomizer, and while you don't get to seed it, the name selections go pretty quickly. So you just click on it, and it'll name the place. Silver Pass, no. Sapphire Shear, no. Southern Fern, why it's going for mnemonics today. Pine Court, no. Guano Break, definitely not. Rosenhust, Rosenhust, no. Slaughterneck, no. Vapor Abbey, no. I'll go ahead. So you can go through a lot of them, and they have because the mapping is for fantasy system. A lot of the names are horribly heavy ham-handed RPG kind of names. But I get to one that I kind of like, and I can just change it out here. So I'm going to change it to Dry Dock, suggesting that it's a world that serves that purpose and may not actually have a planetary name. But I also need to mark that it is from the Confederacy. So I go up here and I change the coloration. And maybe add a little bit more glow to the back, make it match Crimson Break. All right. And there we go. And we do have another star that doesn't have a name yet, and we know that it's a standard one. So we are this far into Dead Space. Let's see. We don't have any. We don't have any rebel planets on the inside of that line, so let's be a little racy here and make for one of them. So, matter of fact, we don't show any of the. Oh, there it is. There's a couple of worlds that are out here that are that are held by the brown codes. So then we get to go over here to this one, and we know it's going to be here. So we go ahead and click on the map anywhere, creates a label. And again, we can go through some names: Pegamore, Earthenwick, Lava Valley, Sin Heights. No, I think we could come up with this one. I know what you thought I was going to write. I'm not going to do it. There we go. And once we do that, then we save it. And then I come back over and click back in over here. So this the idea here is that this will be one half of a space map. Now, if you know the heritage of Nikos RPG, or if you heard me tell the stories before, Nikos RPG was originally created as 3 continental maps that eventually were fused together because I found that they had a nice geomorphic way of lining up. And so they became one basic body of mass. And the map grew to actually, it was on on each continent was on one map, and then you link them together to make the 3. So this map is therefore going to be half of the global map. So this eddy of a storm down below is going to be named on the next map that I do, and we'll build out the rest of the known space for this sector. And so this will be 1/4 of the playable world. And the idea here is that each of the quadrants will follow different physics laws for how people get around and whatever. And so in the long term, the groups can interact from system to system. But in the meantime, each one can be explored by its own technology and therefore make each game kind of uniquely dynamic. So as I was saying, the maps with the stars, the cities with the stars, are the planets. Actually, they're actually planets. And for example, Angel's Eye is a planet that is in um, the Browncoats controlled area, but it's also north of the line. And the line is referring to these black waypoints. These black waypoints are jump gates that are established and maintained independent of the Confederacy and independent of the Browncoats. So both the Alliance and the Rebels, if you will, can access them. And so they're rather strictly enforced. So there's not a lot of combat or action that will happen in one of these points, even though their names sound kind of sinister, like Slay Post or Bloodlight, or if you know Covenant. You know which game I'm talking about there. But anyway, the idea is that the areas are not these are sacrosanct. You don't get into fights within a certain distance of these ports of call because they're dangerous. And then you have the official formal boundary of the Confederacy, and that's this list of posts. They are listening posts and defense posts, and one of them in particular has a historical reference. Gunpoint is literally the place that would be analogous to a certain uh, transport captain's Waterloo. I'll just put it that way. At any point, at any rate, the point is that the map covers a lot of interesting things. Oh, another planet needs to be named down here. I haven't got a name for this one yet, so let's go back over and do that. And it's a planet, so we will. Ooh, why is this in? Oh, other planets too. But we got one brown coat world, so let's make another alliance, confederacy / alliance world here. And let the name generator do its thing. Southern Mont. That'd be pretty funny since it's the southern part of a map that's a space map. That would be very funny that they actually named it that way because of where it is on the map. No, we're not doing that. Manahurst. Actually, I'm going to change that slightly. We're going to call that Manhurst. Again, Mannheim, like Mannheim Steamroller. And had to change its color. And then add some. There we go. Anything else that I didn't label? Pretty funny how I think I'm through everything and then I realize I missed something. Yep, there's one more here. Grab that theming and go over here and put that on here. Yeah, that makes sense. Pinafall. Alrighty. I think that's just about everything, but we'll come back and look at it in a minute. Alrighty, so I heard a chirp. I don't know what that chirp was. By autosave function. Could have been. Alright. Got to get that out of the way. Alright. Alrighty. So we were talking about the different shapes. So the line, as I described, is the black. That's officially controlled by a joint agreement, and therefore there's not supposed to be any conflict in those ports or next to them. Then you have the formal line that was drawn in the sky, which is the list of listening posts from post 147 near the top of the map and post 153 at the bottom. These are listening posts, but they're also defense positions, so they are usually heavily weaponed and rather risky to run business through. Yet there's a lot of need that stems from the dynamics of this map. For example, if you notice, there are several worlds with the uh, compass and spanner of what somebody thought to be the Masons or whatever. This emblem is being used in this case to represent uh, repair functionality facilities. So if you need something worked on, obviously you'd have to take it to Dry Dock or Armistice or Hell's Gate or Crimson Break for the most part. Now, Crimson Break happens to be a prison location, and so Crimson Break ends up also being rather daunting from a player standpoint. But you also notice that there are a couple of sites within the Spinward realm, Farpoint and Angel Eye in particular. And one of them is a station. Angel Eye is a station, whereas Farpoint is a planet. And so that square symbol gives you the fact that it's a station. And there aren't very many. There's another one down at Coven Star. But that's pretty much it for space stations. Most people prefer to live landside. And so the the ones that are using the Latin or the Greek are systems that have no planetary bodies within. The ones that have actual names like Pilferwick or Gloompost or whatever, those have planetary bases. The only exception to that, I think, let me see. No, they're all that. That's all that. Now, you also notice that there are skull representatives indicative of pirating or nefarious activity at Mephrys and Patagonia and Pilferwick and Darkvale. And no, Sulphurglow is good. I need to redo the storms at Sulphurglow. There's one there too. But the idea is that those are pirate enclaves, and so they are working against the governmental system, both sides, and so makes for some fun activity at Farpoint because you're close to Mephrys and Patagonia, and so you're going to have some criminal element activity. Always makes a fantasy RPG, even in space, kind of feel long or whatever. Dota done with Dota. I am done with Dota. Dota is done. So, is that a first-person shooter? Was I right about that, or is it another form? Because it feels like I should know that it's like a League of Legends kind of game, but I don't recall how it works. So I'll let Strigley educate me on that. I hope you're doing well, Striggs. I'm sorry I was out of action for half a day, and I really am sorry for stressing you out because I did not mean to do so. I wish it would simply go away and they could fix my account, but I don't know that they ever will. If they don't, we'll have to do like the old saying goes: we must rebuild it better than before. No, it's not like them. Okay. Yes. For most people, this is for most people in my time zone, this hour of the evening is time to go to bed and close everything out. But for me, I'm just now waking up. So let's go back here. Oh, okay. Gotcha. There we go. And I'll get rid of this noise on the screen. Wrong buttons. Lights are going out. Indeed, the lights are going out. I haven't seen that movie yet. I've heard some nightmares about it. Oh, that's not good news. You're supposed to tell me, yes, it's going to be fine. You were able to get your password in fast enough that they didn't ruin everything, and you can go back in and fix it. It'll be fine. That's what I want to hear. I don't want to have to think about rebuilding a 500 person following Discord again, because there's so many people that are frustrated with Discord that I had quite a few of them balk at joining in the first place, and so I had to convince them that it was a useful tool, and for the most part, it was. So, oh, good point. Good point. I just didn't know whether I should create a whole new one. I suppose I could do that. I already had two servers though. My problem too is that I was paying big dollars for those nitros, and I'm not going to pay to keep a nitro up on an account that's dead. So I'm going to probably wait one more day. Well, like I said, I think the problem was they didn't know that I had 2FA going, because I think they hit the 2FA blocker right as I um, signed back in, because I actually can change the password, and it does change the password, but it won't let me in because the 2FA isn't sending it to my phone anymore. It's sending off into limbo land. And since they don't have access to the new password, they can't fix it. So, oh yeah, I was running 6 nitros. Yeah, because I wanted to make sure that I could do things like I had the ability to host back when they had it before I had the stage function, so I could have people come on and get the ability to speak to us who were not members of the Discord, but therefore to incite them to become members of the Discord, and that was functioning. So I'm hoping that with since I have money on process. Oh, I know people can get past 2FA. That was my first time around nightmare when the players tried to steal the site. But okie dokie, I will endeavor to do that this evening so that we'll be able to talk tomorrow. I've got it is coming up on midnight, and I wanted to get off the stream tonight, but at least I got a meeting tomorrow morning I've got to take care of for one of my writing gigs. But so I will endeavor to have that built by this time tomorrow or a little bit earlier, so you'll be able to access it and we can talk tomorrow. But I will of course send my invite to you right away. But I don't have a friends list anymore, so I'll have to just remember that you're Strigley and try to get in that way. Um, I could probably go back through my videos and find the one where you originally posted, so I can grab the email address or whatever, so that you can do that, or you can reach me through nikosrpg.com. There's an email server there too, so I will get on it to do that. Let's figure this out real quickly. Maybe I can get mine set up right away. So right. Yep, I will do that. I will do that once I get this up and operational. A good point. I can't believe I'm that old. I gotta go all the way back to that year. Yeah. Okie dokie. Sorry for the not talking while I'm doing this. So I'm getting it set up so that we can operate again. Probably means that the same slugs will join again. Yeehaw. Hopefully not. That's up to. Hey, figure out how to watch people better. Trust people less, I guess. That's a horrible way to be, though. Matter of fact, I just did a video the other day about benefit of the doubt, and ironically, I am a big advocate for trusting people, and this is the kind of thing that happens when you do that. So, ooh, that's a good name. That's good. Yeah, I suppose you're right. There are people everywhere like that. Yep, that must be an autosave sound. There we go. Yeah, the thing that bothered me is that the only way they were able to get through was to act like somebody that I knew and had already talked to on the web before, and then they asked me a particular question, of which I had no choice but to answer yes, and therefore I was doomed because I had no way of knowing that it wasn't the person I thought it was. So I learned my lesson. Uh, well, like I said, yeah, I'm not going to go into the details because I'm on screen now. So we'll talk about it once we uh, stop Discord. Once I get, I mean, once we stop the, um, yeah. There we go. And uno momento, por favor. I know I'm not making a lot of sound, so I think I'm dead air, and that's okay. Now we go over here. No, 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 wrong place. Go over here. And then we go to here. Oh, sure. Sure. That's not it. Go back here. There we go. And to do two things at once doesn't work, so I'm just going to focus on getting this one done really quickly. So still grinding away on the permissions on this new Discord. Okay, so now, Strig, if you want, we can test this. I just changed the Discord button. So, in theory, you should be able to sign onto the new, brand new Nikos RPG um, intro server. So, give it a shot and we'll see whether or not we can actually be talking again in a couple of minutes. Yes! Can you hear me? Oh, I shouted it too. I was like really pleased. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and sign out of the show, and then we just sit and talk for a bit, if that's okay. Okay. Thank you guys for watching.